Let's talk about buying a home. If you're thinking of purchasing your first home, the thought of it all, I'm sure, can seem very overwhelming. The first thing I will say is, if you've ever bought a car, buying a home is nothing like that. You can walk into a car dealership today with no knowledge of the process and walk out with the vehicle that very same day. Again, buying a home, nothing like that. So let's take a moment here just to discuss what that process is going to look like from beginning to end, and understand that no two real estate transactions are exactly the same, but this will give you a good idea of what you can expect along the way. So stay tuned. I'm Shauna Gentry, a licensed real estate professional and realtor with Century 21 Judge Fight. A fun fact about me, when my husband and I first purchased our home, we knew nothing about the home buying process. I'm honestly surprised that we made it to closing, and every day I am grateful that we're still in our home 11, almost 12 years later. So given that experience, I want to do all that I can to help educate first-time home buyers on the process. And I applaud you for taking the first steps to understand, what goes into buying a home, so that you can be properly educated and well prepared for the experience. This is a huge investment that you're going to be making. As I mentioned, buying a home is not like buying a car. Even if you buy new construction directly from a builder, there's going to be more steps involved in the process of a home purchase, and rightfully so, because again, it is a huge investment. So right now we're just going to take a general look, an overview at the process itself. In some later videos, I'll go into more details of some of those steps that are involved, but let's go ahead and get started. So first things first, you have to know your financials. That means speaking with a loan officer and knowing just how much home you can afford. That means getting pre-approved with a loan officer and not just pre-qualified. And I'll go into more detail with that in a future video. So again, just know you want to get pre-approved, know just how much home you can afford. It doesn't make sense to go out home shopping, again, if you don't know what you can afford. Don't be over there trying to buy that Gucci or Louis Vuitton bag if, again, you can't afford it. Once you're pre-approved, get with the real estate professional. You want to have somebody who's working on your behalf. Even if you plan on buying new construction, don't rely on the salesman who's working on behalf of the builder to have your best interest in mind. Again, you want to have somebody who's advocating on your behalf and working with your best interest in mind. That real estate professional will be able to work within your home budget, discuss with you and learn your desires, wants, needs, all that good stuff to find your ideal home. And keep in mind, because I know as a first-time home buyer you might think, oh well, I can't afford to have a realtor. The commission for that realtor is generally going to be paid by the seller out of their proceeds. So again, have somebody who's advocating on your behalf and working on your side. All right, so now you've been working with your realtor and you all have found your ideal home in your ideal neighborhood, and you are ready to make an offer, and that is the next step. And again, that's where having that real estate professional comes in handy, because let me ask you, do you know how to put in an offer on a home? I'm gonna guess not. So again, that's where you're gonna need that realtor working on your behalf. And again, you want somebody who's on your side and not on the side of the seller. So keep that in mind as well. But the next step again is to make an offer. And we'll discuss this process as if it's a pre-existing home. New construction will vary slightly, and I'll have to do a separate video on that one. But again, now it's time to sit down and make that offer. So again, you and your realtor are going to sit together, go through the contract, fill in all the blanks, and submit an offer to the listing agent and the sellers to review. Once both parties have agreed upon the contract and the offer, and both parties have signed, then you have an executed contract, and the countdown begins toward closing. As the buyer, you will be required to submit the option fee and earnest money to the title company. And so you will pay whatever amount was negotiated in the offer, in that contract. And time is of the essence here. So you are under a strict deadline in regards to the timing necessary to submit those fees. And this is where, again, having a realtor on your side can be helpful, because if for whatever reason you're not able to submit the money to the title company, it's possible that your realtor can do that for you. I know I've taken the time before to pick up the check for my clients and deliver it to ensure that it has been submitted in a timely manner. The next immediate step, once the contract has been executed, is to schedule a home inspection. And again, we're looking at this from a pre-existing home sale. So again, you're going to want to get that home inspected, and that would be scheduled immediately after that contract has been executed. You want to get that inspector out within the next 24, maybe 48 hours, but again, as soon as possible. So that way the home can be reviewed and you can do any follow-up as needed. So if any additional inspections are needed, just based on the results of the initial home inspection, you want to have time to take care of all of that within the agreed upon option period. The other step that happens immediately after there is an executed contract is to send that contract to both the lender and to the title company. And that is so the title company can begin doing their title research and getting the documentation necessary to get the title transferred over to your name. And then for the lender, they need to begin their process of scheduling the appraisal and getting all the paperwork necessary in order to complete that loan approval process. Before the option period ends, you will need to schedule any necessary follow-up inspections. As I mentioned, there's the initial home inspection, and as a result of that inspection, you might need to do additional inspections such as foundation check or getting the HVAC checked, the roof inspected. Again, there could be other checks necessary, and you want to get that initial home inspection done, so then you have time to do any follow-up inspections within that option period. And that just allows you to make an informed decision and ensure that you are feeling comfortable with moving forward with the home buying process. It also is the time when your real estate professional, if you guys do determine that there's additional repairs that might be needed, you might want to negotiate those repairs to be done by the seller, or you might request to get some money or concessions in lieu of getting the repairs made. So that is all happening within that option period. Once the option period is complete, you are one step closer to being a new homeowner. Your realtor will continue to follow up with both the title company and the lender to make sure that everything is still moving forward. Most of the work at this point is kind of done behind the scenes. So again, you're going to want just timely check-ins just to make sure that everything is moving forward as it should. So during the time between when the option period ends and prior to closing, if you did ask the seller to make repairs, you would want to review that those repairs have been properly made and are satisfactory. At least 3 days prior to closing, your lender will provide you with a closing disclosure that is going to outline all the monies involved in the transaction itself. So any fees paid by you, any fees paid by the seller, what the mortgage amount is or the loan amount will be, what the interest rate's going to be, what your monthly payments are going to be, and what those monthly payments are composed of. All of that will be outlined in this closing disclosure for you to review and be comfortable with. It also outlines the amount that you will come to the table with on closing day. And then your lender can answer any questions you have regarding the closing disclosure, and then your realtor can kind of advise you if you might have some questions. They can typically help you out with understanding or what questions you might want to ask your lender about. Prior to closing, just prior to closing, your realtor and you, or just your realtor, will walk through the home. They'll do a final walkthrough, make sure that the home is ready for you to move in. So that is going to be the next step just before you close on the home. Congratulations, you've made it to closing. If you've made it this far in the process, the next step is to sign all the documents necessary for you to become homeowners. The seller has documents that they need to sign, and you have documents to sign. And your documents are going to be about a stack this thick. So you have loan documents to sign, you have the title documents to sign. But again, this is the next step in getting your new home. So closing is signing all the necessary documents, and the next is funding by the lender, and that is the lender providing funds to the title company that will then be dispersed to all the necessary parties. And this is when you receive the keys. So once funding has occurred, that's when you'll be able to receive the keys to your new home. So now, is this process any more or less clear to you? I hope I have helped provide some kind of clarity in regards to the steps necessary to purchase your first home. In the description, you'll find a link to a home buying timeline, which will bullet point and outline the steps that I just mentioned in regards to the home buying process. Congratulations on taking the steps to learn about home ownership. This is truly one of the most rewarding investments that you will make, both personally and financially. I'll have more new home buyer videos in the future. Till next time, bye for now.